It's no secret that I'm a lover of video games and virginity. Two of my favorite genres of video games are shooters and RPGs, or role-playing games. They both are pretty straightforward. In shooters, you shoot things and it's fun. In RPGs, you explore vast worlds and level up your character, blurring the lines between your life and Harry Pecker's life. Games like Halo, GoldenEye, and COD got me into shooters, while games like Zelda got me started on the RPG path. But it wasn't until probably like the last 10 years or so that I got hooked on becoming someone I'm not. Dark Souls and Skyrim were two of my favorite RPG games that really solidified the genre for me. So what would happen if someone were to take both genres and marry them together? Well, that is exactly what Gearbox Software did back in 2009, creating a little series called Borderlands. I remember when Borderlands was first announced. I never played it back in the day as a kid, but I did, however, play the second one in high school. And from what I remember, it was a blast, so I was excited to play through the first one, especially since I was going to play through it with the homies. Borderlands is a co-op RPG loot shooter, or schlooter, that lets you and three of your bros mow down enemies and loot in the world of Pandora. Pandora is known as a dumpster fire of a place, full of monsters and people that want to kill you. Yeah, it's not exactly the greatest place to raise some kiddos. One of the biggest selling points, or at least that's what the people at Gearbox thought, was Borderlands. We have a zillion, million, kajillion guns for you to play with. I mean, yeah, they do have a lot of guns to use. ARs, SMGs, shotguns, snipers, rocket launchers, pistols, revolvers, machine pistols, and even alien weapons you can find and use that have infinite ammo. All the guns have stats on them showing you what kind of accuracy they have, as well as the damage output and the magazine size, plus some guns even have elemental effects. These effects deal more or less damage depending on the enemy type. Now, that being said, while there are a bazillion guns in the game, the designs don't vary too much, and the things that change are scopes, elemental effects, magazine size, damage output, etc. I mean, it doesn't vary too much, and I'm not trying to downplay how many guns are in the game. I'm just saying, it doesn't feel like there are that many.
So what are you in the mood for? Bread? Maybe a sandwich?
I'm not really in the mood for bread.
I got white.
What about soup?
Wheat.
I don't want bread.
Bagel?
I don't want bread.
Donut.
What do you not understand by I don't want bread?
Croissants?
Just because you're changing what it looks like doesn't mean it's not bread.
Pizza.
That sounds pretty good.
Ha, got you, bitch. There's bread in it.
You can buy and sell weapons at vending machines which are scattered throughout the world, so you shouldn't really have any trouble with money or lack of guns. Now, that being said, there are lots of hot garbage guns for you to find throughout your stay at Pandora, but once you find that perfect gun that deals just the right amount of damage and is super accurate and holds more than 12 bullets, that is when you find what true love feels like. You find guns all over, from completing quests, killing enemies, and of course the loot chests that you find everywhere. Ah, the chests. They are fun to open because you never know what you're going to get. Probably garbage though. The RPG elements were great and is what kept me playing, honestly. From the storyline missions to all the side quests you do, I'm not a huge fan of grinding when it comes to most RPG games. And in this game you don't really need to grind because of the amount of side quests that help mitigate grinding, and you also get great rewards like guns, better shields, class mods, and of course XP, so it makes doing the side quests well worth your time. Speaking of which, most of the side quests were pretty fun. I'm sure there were some boring ones in there, but none that really stood out to me. The story is I don't remember too much about it, but the characters and the funny dialogue were always a nice touch. I have always been a fan of the cel shading art style of Borderlands. Although it's not the first of its kind, whenever I see this art style, I immediately think of Borderlands. You have 4 characters to choose from that each have their own unique abilities and skill trees to upgrade. I played as the soldier, who has a deployable auto turret that, depending on what skills you upgrade, can heal you, increase ammo size, and even revive down teammates. And it shoots too, of course. I love seeing my character level up and using my newly acquired skills in battle that not only assisted me, but my entire team as well. Going back through and beating the absolute hell out of enemies that were slam dunking on you early game was always a nice ego boost. You can customize your character's look. The customization isn't too vast, but it is still a fun touch. You can also reallocate your points at any time to change up the way you play because the level cap is 69. Nice. Yeah, that does mean you can't get all the skill tree completed. You can also fast travel, and there are cards for you to mess around in. If there are tougher enemies, you can usually just run them over, but you have to keep an eye on your car's health bar or else it can explode. Yeah, the cars were bittersweet, but still fun to drive around in. The version we played was the Game of the Year edition, which came with all of the DLCs as well, from the zombie one to the Claptrap DLC. Oh, Claptrap, what a fun, stupid character. I've played through lots of shooters in my life, and nothing really feels like Borderlands does, especially for when it was released in 2009. The gunplay isn't my favorite when it comes to shooters, but it isn't bad. Compared to games like Destiny or Call of Duty, I prefer those shooting mechanics over Borderlands, but it isn't bad, it's just different. The game feels a little outdated, probably due to the fact that subsequent releases have improved upon this, as well as other modern shooters, but hey, that's a good thing, right? Borderlands is a fun RPG shooter for you and the homies to vibe out to and have a good time. I don't think this game would have given me the same experience by myself, so if you are going to play it, I recommend squatting up. That being said, we played through the PC version, and it always seemed like we were having connection issues no matter who the host was. And we never have these problems with other online games we have played. Maybe it was just us that had that problem, I mean, who knows. Like I said, I did have fun blasting my way through enemies with my friends, feeling like a squad working together like a well-oiled machine. But I don't ever see myself coming back to this title after my first playthrough. It was a good experience, and I think I'll just leave it at that. Overall, I would give Borderlands this guy's 3 balls out of a gazillion guns. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing. We release videos like this every single Friday on the channel. Also, a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, always appreciated. If you want to get your name at the end of every Friday video, just like what you see on screen, head over to our Patreon where you can subscribe today. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep it rad.